Welcome to Deep Thought, my formal education. You know what? A lot of times when people are talking about, different deep subjects, a lot of it's self-education. It really is, because you don't have a lot of universities talking about things on this level. I mean, yeah, you do have some small metaphysical schools or something like that, you can find out about if you get one of those new age type of magazines and look at the ads or something. You can find something. I mean, they have a few, but, for the most part, it's not common. And I was thinking about my education. I've read different books, but the foundation was actually set for it. Well, the real foundation, I've always been a curious person, but then I thought about high school and college, the courses I took. I was actually forced to think. That's one thing, me and a lot of people, starting in high school. I went to a college preparatory high school in D.C., Archbishop Carroll, right? And yeah, we had the regular college prep courses, but then we also had courses on psychology, religion, everything. And I remember one religion class. It was probably the best class I ever took. Well, I had two that were really good. One, we had priests and stuff who really got into the history of the church. I mean, they didn't give it a standard party line. I mean, we actually had a priest who believed in evolution. He thought the concept of Earth being built in 6 days was kind of ludicrous. And this same particular priest is actually, he's the president of Villanova University now, Augustinian University. It's an Augustinian university. So, and he was interesting. He was an interesting cat. In fact, all our priests were interesting. We had one priest taught us how to properly smoke a joint. So, I mean, it was that's what all of us who went there said, I don't know if we got educated well, but we were taught to think. We were taught to look at stuff, because I had a religion course that was, I might have mentioned this before, but I had a religion course, I had the one with the priest, had another guy, he taught us about some real history of the church. I'm like, this a Catholic school? And then I had one, a religion, we were required to take this course. We had, I think I had 3 courses with this dude. And he was an interesting guy because the school was predominantly black, but this was a white guy who had, I think I mentioned him somewhere, because anybody who went to Carroll, all I had to do is mention the name Hederney, and everybody's like, damn, because he got killed in an accident. But he was an interesting guy, because he didn't believe in God. Yeah, teaching a religion course. And he spent most of his time having us look at society critically. I don't even think he talked about religion. In fact, I mean, he hated Reagan with a passion. He said, if Reagan's in heaven, he don't want to go there. So it's just but he taught us to think, and he taught us to be socially conscious, and that was one thing we were required, particularly through his class, to do work at a soup kitchen. Required. You do not pass this course unless you do at least 2 days at this soup kitchen. And it was a good experience. But his main thing was teaching people how to think. You couldn't recite the party line back to him. Right? You couldn't be one of those just be in class, listen to everything he's saying, parrot it back to him. You had to, on any test or anything. I don't hardly remember him even giving so many tests. I don't know. But you had to show that you're thinking about stuff. That's the only way you get a good grade from him. If you sound like you sprouting a party line, dude was like, nah. But if you say it sounded like something, particularly if it was anti-war, oh yeah, he loved it. And then, went on to college. and had plenty like philosophy courses because I was a liberal arts major. I know some people, a lot of people get into like STEM and engineering, which is important. But I went from an Augustinian school to a Jesuit thing, and their thing is more liberal arts and everything. Which, incidentally, if we want to get deep, the ancient mystery schools of Kemet, which the other people are known as Egypt, but its proper name was Kemet. They taught the liberal arts. If you look at a book, Stolen Legacy by George James, they talk about all of that. So, because their thing was to create a well-rounded individual. And, and that's one of the things I was like, wow, I can really think about stuff. Learn how to analyze stuff. Even in high school, I had a psychology course, and we broke down, it was a movie that came out back then called Ordinary People. And we sat there with our arrogant ass priest. I don't know about the Augustinian order. The arrogant priest, but he was like, you could never prove him wrong. We tried though too. Had a bunch of high school like juniors trying to prove like this like priest wrong. We couldn't, because I never met anybody so careful. But he taught us to think too and how to analyze stuff, right? So I go from the Augustinians to the Jesuits, and this is interesting with the Jesuits because they the center of a lot of conspiracy theories. And if you actually think about the Jesuits, St. Francis Loyola, and I think that was his name, and a small group of men, they influenced a lot. Think about the Jesuits. They got a whole university system and everything. They all over. There was a joke that a Jesuit priest told me, right? Because like the letters after a Jesuit name is S.J., right? And the joke was Augustinian priest and a Jesuit priest were arguing with each other, like which one God favored the most. So they sent a letter to God. And they said, God, which one of us is your favorite order? And God said, I won't get into this. You're both equal in my eyes, but it was signed God, S.J. Anyway, right? Now I thought about it because we were actually taught to think, and I actually learned how to think on my, one class I really had to think. Because I remember I had a religion class. And we had a group project or something, right? And the people in my group neglected to tell me we had a presentation coming up. I still don't know how this happened. And I was supposed to give the presentation. I was like, y'all motherfuckers. So I'm sitting in there. I'm giving a presentation. I don't know how I got to do it. And they just sitting there. I was like, yeah, y'all set me up. Yeah, y'all white people set me up. Shit. But I'm sitting in class, right? I'm talking with the priest. I have no idea what I'm talking about. And I think he gave me a good grade because he knew I was bullshitting the whole time. Because I be in there like, well, what do you think about it? I'm looking at the priest. And he started talking. And he kind of gave me a look. He's like, shit. He ain't come up and tell me. But you know how somebody look at you, they know you full of shit. But they kind of admire that you played it off like a champ. Man, they had to wing it in that class. Nah, but you know what? It actually taught you. And at the time, you don't see those things. Because you like, damn, why I got to take these classes? Because I ain't going to lie. If they weren't requirements, I wouldn't have taken them. High school maybe, because the gentleman I mentioned, O'Durney, everybody loved him. Everybody loved him and stuff. Because, he used to curse us out in Vietnamese when he got pissed at us and shit. Because he had fought in the Vietnam War and stuff and knew Vietnamese fluently. And he cursed us out fluently. And plus the priests there were crazy. He had priests who would step on mouses and stuff. And he had one priest, he would, when everybody's coming in the morning, he'd stand on top of the building with his black robe and some sunshades on looking down on us. Yeah. I think that's why people from high school are different. We that was a carry. Like I said, it was a priest who taught us how to smoke a joint properly. Anyway, right. I think I'm joking. I'm really not. They was some characters. Right. Like I said, look up the president of Villanova University. I had a few classes with him. Plus, he directed the school plays a couple times. Had a tremendous singing voice. Yeah, didn't like the motherfucker. But anyway, me and him had issues, but we tolerated each other. Anyway, right? I'm just laughing. I gotta say one more thing. We had one teacher. I still keep up with him to this day, right? Still keep up with because he we would go in class sometimes. He'd tell everybody close your books, and we just start joning on each other. There's a teacher now. The teacher would be lighting us up. He'd be roasting us. We had teachers that would roast us. Like everybody said who went there to my high school. I don't know how much of an actual education we got, but we did get an education in life. Seriously, we were taught to think. That's the one thing we got from it. They taught us enough academic stuff to get us in schools, like because the graduation and the college acceptance rate was like over 90%, and whoever did the other percentage just went into the military. So they taught us enough to get through school, but they taught us a lot otherwise. And that's just the base. And I wanted to bring that up because you look back at it and you didn't see the value in that. But then I'm like, well, you know what? It kind of opened me up to different things. So now it's like I can always get stuff. And of course, I've mentioned in another video on my main channel how I learned a lot of research methods because I had to take sociology courses. Even took French for a while. French, I wasn't feeling the French. I should have took Spanish. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. Yeah, I just wanted to share all that. Anyway, we good for now. I'll talk to y'all later. Keep rising and transforming.